Is this going to be the new masterpiece for barbecue? Can you guess what it is?
Big thanks to Napoleon Grills for sponsoring this episode.
There she is. This is a particularly beautiful piece of meat. We got the beautiful fat cap laying on top, and then we got dark red meat laying underneath. But can you tell me which piece of beef this is? I will even show you the bottom of it, and maybe that will tell you a little bit more. This part specifically is very distinct to the steak that you know. You see, this is the flat iron steak. It's just cut a little different. It's the whole flat iron steak, which normally is two pieces of steak clamped together with a piece of silver skin in between, but now we also have a piece of fat cap laying on top of that flat iron steak. So basically we got two flat iron steaks with a piece of fat. And in the Netherlands, this is a very popular cut called sucade. This piece of meat is mainly used to make stews with. But what if we put it on the barbecue and smoke it like a Texas-style brisket? What will happen then? Well, there's only one way to find out. I'm going to season it with the PITMASTERX Texas barbecue seasoning, which is salt, pepper, garlic, onion powder. I'm going to season the fat cap as well as the meat because I really want to keep that fat cap, because I'm going to be smoking this in a kettle grill. And that means I'm going to have a lot of radiation heat. I'm going to use the fat cap to protect the meat from drying out. Make sure to season all sides. And since it's a real thick piece of meat, I'm going to make sure that I season it properly. Let's get everything that's on the board. There we go. Now that looks like a beautiful piece of meat, the sucade. To cook it, I'm going to use the Napoleon kettle grill, like I said. And the main thing that is very important to cooking low and slow in the kettle grill is creating direct and indirect heat. So therefore I'll be using these two bricks. I'm just going to put them on one side, put in a handful of light charcoal, add a fire starter, light it up, and to that I'm going to add these super slow burning briquettes that are made out of coconut, which is super sustainable and durable. So I'm going to put these over the charcoal, get them ignited, and basically the charcoal is there to get the fire started, and these briquettes are going to ensure that we're going to have a long and stable cook. So the temperature won't be too hot, but it will burn low and slow. And once it's lit, I'm going to add a chunk of smoke wood. In this case, I'll be using some cherry, and that's going to give me a mild fruity flavor. I'm going to stick in a wireless thermometer so I can keep my eye on the temperature. And then the whole thing goes into the barbecue over the indirect heat. Close the lid, open up the top vent all the way. The bottom vent I'm going to close to about 2, and then once the temperature is about 120 degrees Celsius, which is around 245 degrees Fahrenheit, I'm going to slowly close it so I can stable it out at that temperature. I just got the notification that the flat iron roast has reached the core temperature of 70 degrees Celsius, which is around 158 degrees Fahrenheit, somewhere around that. That means that I'm going to check to see what it looks like, because after it reached that temperature, it's less likely to take on smoke, and all of the excess smoke is going to be on the outside. That looks freaking delicious. Honestly, it looks so good. It built up a beautiful color. We got a nice bit of fat rendered off. With that color, I'm super satisfied where the cook is at the moment, so I don't need much more flavor on the outside of this roast. And that's why I'm going to wrap it. I'm going to do what I would do if it was a brisket. So I'm going to take some butcher's paper, put my gloves on. If you're looking for these gloves, you can find them in our web shop. So let's take this roast and put it on our butcher's paper. Look at that color. Isn't that absolutely beautiful? I've got a beautiful piece of fat on the roast, so I don't need to add any more beef tallow or butter to it. I think this will be more than enough. Let's wrap it up. I'm gonna go over halfway through, tuck it in and do the first roll. Get it nice and tight, fold it in. I'm gonna do another roll, fold in the other half, and that, secure it. Tuck this last part in a little bit, and that is how you get a nice tight package that can go back on the barbecue. This roast has been sitting on the barbecue for 2.5 hours, and I'm expecting at least another 4 hours of cooking time. But to do it in that time, I'm going to raise the temperature up from 120 degrees Celsius smoking temperature to 140 degrees Celsius smoking temperature. That way it will cook a little faster, and hopefully will render down the fat a little bit more. All I need to do is open the bottom vent a little bit more, increase the airflow, and that should give me the temperature that I'm looking for. Just got the notification that the flat iron roast has reached the core temperature of 92 degrees Celsius. And since I want to be cooking it kind of like a brisket, I'm just going to take it off and now let it rest. And a roast like this needs to rest for at least 1 hour. I'm just going to leave it on the board because it's quite a warm day out. It's not that big of a piece of meat. It's about 1.5 kilograms, which is around 3 pounds. So 1 hour on the board and we should have it at the perfect temperature to eat, and it should be moist and juicy if this is the right cut. Well, we'll see. Let's see what we made and see if this is truly the new cut for barbecue. Oh yeah, look at that. Let's get the thermometer out. It became nice and soft, kind of has that jiggle to it. That is nice. Ooh, it's definitely the fat rendered down beautifully. I can stick my finger in it, and that's kind of like the poke test when you stick your finger in it and it kind of dissolves in total and doesn't bounce back all that much. Then you know that the fat rendered down properly. Let's put some of those juices on top of the roast. That's the gravy, guys. Don't throw that out. That's the good stuff. All right. Without further ado, we're gonna slice into this and take a look inside. Whew. That was a soft slice. There we go. Wow. You see how you got the two steaks of the flat iron right there? We got a beautiful smoke ring. We got the bark. A bit of fat on top. Let's get a slice out of this. It is super soft. It may not look extremely juicy, but it's definitely juicy. Let's do the pull test. Definitely tender. All right, and now for the most important test, the taste test. It's beefy, it is smoky, it has the right seasoning, it is super tender and juicy. Wow, I like how everything turns soft and tender. This is really fantastic. I'm not getting the waterfalls that I'm getting out of brisket once you slice into them, but in between the muscle, there's plenty of fat that rendered down and that makes it juicy. Let's do another slice. You see how the fat drips a little bit? That is super. This is an amazing cut. And the funny thing is, before butchers slice this into real flat iron steaks, it's still cheap. Because if you're a little into prices of beef, you know that they're rising fast. And of course the same thing goes for flat iron steaks. But a flat iron roast is not that popular yet. It's a technical cut and therefore it's still cheap. So I recommend that if you love your briskets, your truck roasts, then give this a try. You won't be disappointed.